You're listening to the Devil Dog Talk Show.
This show contains explicit material and is recommended for ages 18 and older for mature audiences only. But hey, it's the internet.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Devil Dog Talk Show. Today we got Delores Harmes. Yes, Delores Harmes, you heard that right. And what we got going on is I really wanted to have a conversation with Delores, right, about some community stuff that's going on in our local community here in Valley Center. So I let her know, hey, I'm interested in doing a show. I'd really like to get a hold of you. I know you're a busy lady, but I really like to just see how can I help? How can we get a little bit more participation or clarity in communication? So here we are, and I'm going to let Dee kind of take it over to introduce herself. Hey, how are you doing, Dee?
Hi, I'm great. How are you, Joey?
Pretty well. And I'm super excited to have you on to kind of roll right into this whole topic of conversation and also figure out a little bit more about yourself. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Fair enough. Well, I've been a resident of Valley Center for over 15 years. I've been an accountant for almost 40 years. Yikes. I've owned a general engineering construction company, which gives me experience in utilities and a construction foundation, which is what is required in developing land. And we're going to be talking about the Valley Center Community Planning Group. And so that kind of establishes my background on it. I've also had a real estate license and a private pilot's license, and I'm a honeybee farmer. I am involved in several local business associations. Besides the Valley Center Business Association and the Valley Center Chamber of Commerce, I'm on the executive board of the Lincoln Club of San Diego County, which is the premier business organization in the county. And I've also been known as a leader of the Hispanic community across the state. I've held several offices in the Latino American Political Association, which is nonpartisan, and also as a member of the Hispanic 100, which is a statewide and national organization. I've been on the planning group since the end of 2017. I was first appointed and then reelected twice. Valley Center is really getting a lot of attention, and it's important that we keep the country and rural character of Valley Center, and that's what brings people here. We need strong voices that are going to prevent the urbanization that government agencies want to bring into our community, and I'm committed to preserving the rural charm of Valley Center that reflects our community's values, and towards that end, I've led initiatives to enhance public safety, including adjusting speed limits and adding evacuation routes. I've initiated dialogue with the mayor and city manager of Escondido, along with our fire chief, to work together to create an evacuation route, an additional route that benefits not just Valley Center, but also Escondido. And that is currently in the process. It's a long process, but we've already got it started. I've also advocated for our parks, for the acquisition of Butterfield Trails Ranch as a county park, and very proud that we got that done, which has also steered the way for improving our other existing parks. Currently, we're lobbying for an equestrian center and for an intergenerational center that we can see the talks coming to fruition now, that the county is going to determine where our intergenerational center will be and where we can put an equestrian center. And I've collaborated with our tribal neighbors and developed strong relationships with them to enhance the public safety and cultural preservation. I've always been instrumental for petitioning for county government for an increase in tax apportionment for our fire department, which is huge. And we just won that, and that will take effect in the next fiscal budget starting July 1st in 2025.
Nice.
And in doing that, we've strengthened our relationships with our Valley Center Fire, our CAL FIRE, our CHP, and our sheriff, and have a great relationship with our local and state representatives because it's important to prioritize Valley Center's needs and safety.
Absolutely. Wow. I'm just blown away because we met some years ago, and that was through my interaction with Miss Louise. She was the president at the cemetery when I was on the cemetery board. And I ended up being vice president a little bit. And we met, and I think it was when you guys were still developing that fire exit route. And I'm like, yeah, let's do that because I'm flammable. You know,
right?
I think people don't really appreciate the fact of just how flammable the human body is. which is good and bad. You know, we need to talk about those type of things. You know, have safety first, you know, maybe a little bit of a managing the expectations, right? So I really want to, yeah, really, right?
Absolutely.
So I really want to run into it now with the planning board, right? One of the primary ways and methods for people to kind of get involved. How does somebody get involved, and where and how and why, and what's the situation with that here in Valley Center?
Well, first, let's understand the purpose of the planning or sponsor group. And the purpose of the Valley Center Community Planning Group and all planning and sponsor groups is to encourage the public participation in government decision-making. We advise on planning and land use matters. We advise the county decision makers on discretionary projects. We advise on preparation, amendment, and implementation of community and sub-regional plans. In the county, there are 27 total groups. There are 18 planning groups and 9 sponsor groups. And those would be referred to as a CPG, a community planning group, or a CSG, a community sponsor group. Our District 5 has a total of 10 planning and sponsor groups. There are 6 sponsor groups. That's Bonsall, Borrego Springs, Hidden Meadows, Pala, Palma, Palomar Mountain, and Twin Oaks Valley. And then there are 4 planning groups, Fallbrook, Rainbow, San Diego, and Valley Center. And the difference between a planning and a sponsor group is that planning group members are elected and must live within the community, whereas sponsor group members are appointed and they must either live or own property within the community. There are no term limits on members or officers, and the Board of Supervisors recently voted not to impose term limits on sponsor groups. A sponsor and planning group have 3 officers, a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. And the groups must have an odd number of members ranging from 5 to 15. The chair informs Planning and Development Services within 10 days of a vacancy by way of written resignation letter from the member. And then we also have to advise them of their Form 700, which is a form that provides financial information, how much property you own, do you have other investments. And the reason that's important is to make sure that you're not on the planning group to serve your own interests.
That's a good reason.
Really good reason. There's training. There is certification by the registrar of voters. When a seat becomes available, we have to post an announcement, and we provide a certain amount of days for that notice to be posted to allow time for people in the community to complete an application and submit it. Once they do, then it has to be approved by the registrar of voters to confirm their eligibility, that they meet, that they're registered to vote in the area that they're wanting to serve in. And then they come in front of the board, of the planning group board. They're interviewed, and then the board votes on the candidate that they would like to have serve with them. That then goes back to the Board of Supervisors for approval. So it's a process. It's not just because you're my buddy, I'm going to be able to get you on the planning group. Exactly. You have to be able to have, some sort of credentialed background and an equity in the community. And equity, but I mean like time that you've lived here so you know what the issues are in the community.
Exactly. And that's very important because I think we run into that a lot, right? Especially coming after this whole election cycle, looking at, just the breakdown of it, the modalities of things, the way people really went after each other. What I can say is being on the ground, with the boots on the ground, it takes that to know exactly where to implement what without not just stepping on toes, but making circumstances worse. If you don't know how to implement something, if you don't understand the bylaws of something, the reasons why certain things are the way they are, then you come in and you're trying to reinvent the wheel every cycle. And I'm just like, come on, guys, we need to get a better grip on the trajectory of a lot of things. But we can start with our local community. One of them, of course, is with the planning group. My big thing was with the cemetery group. And a lot of things that were going on with that was just, I don't want to say the word ignorance, but naivety on how things actually break down and where to actually voice and be and participate. It was a frustration point, a pain point, like board members like to say, and
you're absolutely right, because there's a lot of people that want to speak up and speak out, but they don't understand the mechanics behind it and the process and how you get there. And, we can also always push that envelope, and I'm a big proponent of that, and always being a loud voice. But we still have to do it in a respectful way and in a strategic way that is we start with the end in mind. And if this is our goal, then what do we need to do to accomplish that goal? Who do we need to speak to? What caveats do we have that can help us change the process a little bit so that we can get to the goal that we want?
See, that's so powerful, because it's a simple mentality that has the most effect, right? We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We are trying to keep some consistency within communities. That's how rural areas were developed. In fact, there's a really interesting thing I'd love to pick your brain about, completely off air. But this piece will be, the whole rural development and all that different stuff that we can be implementing here. It's exciting because when we look at our society, when we look at the types of problems we have, problems are a key indicator of a need for what? A solution, right? And how do solutions happen? By involvement, communication, and then action. We can have plenty of involvement. That's great. All these different meetings, all these different groups, all these different people. We can have communication. That's even more wonderful, right? We know what to do, when to do it, and all that good stuff. But now it takes action and participation within the community. That's some of the most difficult things, I think, from any aspect of not just elected representative or, not necessarily leadership role, but people that represent something bigger than themselves, which is the community as a whole, right? That's something powerful, is to say, hey, here's the cut clean way of getting involved. It's Mondays, believe it or not. Okay. And I think it's second Monday or third Monday?
Second Monday of every month. And you're absolutely right about that, because I am a big proponent of highest and best use of everybody's time and be respectful of people's time. I do not subscribe to the philosophy of let's just have a meeting for busy work. Let's just get together to appear as though we're trying to get something done. I don't have time for that. And I think it's disrespectful to people that are on the board that have run for office to continue to create problems that don't exist. Don't create a problem where there isn't one.
Exactly.
And that happens all the time. But, we have to operate the planning group and sponsor groups under governing documents. And the county has what is referred to as a policy I-1, which are rules and procedures for the formation and the operation of county groups. We also have to follow the Brown Act, which are rules for conducting open and public meetings, and also the Political Reform Act, which are rules for identifying and avoiding conflicts of interest. And then we have our own bylaws or our own standing rules that are adopted by our board. And that covers things like, how to run our appointment elections and when our meetings are and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
so,
and even how to maintain that rural aspect. That's a word I really need to practice so
yes,
much. Rural aspects. That's what drew me out of Escondido. It was a rough landing patch, right, out of the military. But after Escondido, after we were living right kind of close to Dixon Lake, me and the wife were like, hey, let's punch out a little bit further. Let's see what this Valley Center is all about, right? And honestly,
smart move.
I know, it was so beautiful. And then the first days that we actually came to look at property, we ended up at Mae West's property off of Mactan. It used to be her big old peach orchard and all that. She's that young lady. Well, I say young lady, but the lady back in the day that didn't be like, come and get me, big boy, or something like that. And I learned so much history there at the History Museum right there in the library, right? So there's so many great things going on in the community. And also, there's a lot of things where we could benefit to improve. Like you brought one up, the speed. My God, okay, like I'm going to say this, my sister in Christ, I cannot believe how many accidents happen in Valley Center, okay? And again, being on the cemetery board, you don't get away from it because guess what needs to happen after that, okay? What I can say is it gets really rough, okay? It gets really, really rough. I know we're all guilty of it, going a little bit quicker than not because the change, honestly, not in a leadership role, right? I'm not saying that to judge or anything, to cast whatever, but there's a lot of different opportunities to convey a change. So impact a change, right? There's a way to proliferate an impact, and that takes a little bit more representation, or less, what I should say, visible representation of enforcement, right? Whether it be signage.
Yes, it does.
All of these
You're
things.
absolutely right.
And that's something that I see, yeah.
Yes, and what we have done already is we have worked with Planning and Development Services Traffic Advisory Committee to reduce the speed on Lilac Road and Lake Wolford Road, and also on Colgrade Road. But you are correct. We need more law enforcement staff. People don't realize that the sheriff in Valley Center does not handle traffic. The CHP does. And we have received 3 CHP patrol officers who dedicate approximately 3 days to our area a week. That just happened within the last year. But they are short-staffed, and a big part of the staffing issues is due to the lack of support that officials and municipalities have bestowed on law enforcement, and the negative attitude towards them following the law and handicapping law enforcement from enforcing the law.
Exactly.
So we have seen a lot of law enforcement professionals leaving California to states where the pay is better, the cost of living is cheaper, and they receive the backing needed to do their jobs. So traffic speeds and accidents from speeding are a huge problem in Valley Center. And I have been working with my vice chair, Dory Rattray. And in doing that, we requested stats from CHP on crashes and accidents in Valley Center. And what we found is that fatal crashes were up. And looking into the days of week and times, we noticed a trend from Sunday to Wednesday, from 5 in the evening to 11 p.m. So CHP has posted overtime for additional units to work during these days and hours, including the deployment of other officers and the deployment of the radar trailer. So we will be providing stats on this information at our December 9th planning group meeting. In 2023, fatal accidents were 3, the same in 2024. Severe injuries in 2023 were 12, in 2024, 7. Other visible injuries in 2023, 44.
Jesus.
In 2024, 14.
So there's an effect.
Total crashes in 2023, 101. Total crashes in 2024, 56. So we're going to drill down and try to determine if we can see if this is from residents in Valley Center, if these are from people driving through Valley Center, or if this is casino traffic, because that's a big concern too.
Exactly. That's something
we've also.
I've seen.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have seen as a concern is all of what you said. It's data, right? And you guys are very, very poignant in determining exactly where to consort your efforts and give the priority, because that's what it takes. It's like my guy this morning was just telling me it's not Delta Force and Navy SEALs that are going to come get you when you're hurt or when something goes wrong. It's going to be your first responders. So you better pay into it. Support it, develop it, right? Structure it up, give them an executionable plan, right? Let their hands free. Everybody's fighting law enforcement with the hand tied behind their back, and it's ridiculous.
It is.
And right now we're seeing the consequences, but that's amazing, because I know the one thing that's shifted from last year to this year publicly, I want to say it, is signage and paint on the ground saying, hey, this is now a 45 instead of a 55, because at least this way people are going 55 instead of 75, right?
Right. Hopefully.
You're right.
But because of the way that law enforcement has been treated, or the attitude towards them, crime is also up. And we know crime is up nationally, especially in California, in the Bay Area and the LA area, but it's also up here in Valley Center. And that's partly because we have more people now living in our community, and partly because we are nearing the holidays and people are short on funds.
I do have a question on that. What is the current population at, and where is it projected to be within about 1 to 2 years? Do you know?
Well, that's a great question, and I'll probably dive into that a little bit more as we keep going. But currently, we're at about 18 to 20,000 but we have, and I say 18 to 20 because there have been several properties in the newer developments that are now empty.
Gotcha.
And then we also have some new developments that are coming in.
Okay.
But, the economy the last few years has really hit folks hard in the pocketbook. And between gas and food and diapers and prescriptions and electricity and clothing, you name it, it's really hard to have anything left over. And so consequently, Park Circle community has been inundated with mailbox break-ins and porch pirates stealing items. So we need to let the community know they have to stay vigilant. And if you see unusual cars or people around your neighborhood, say something, speak up.
If you see something, say something, yeah.
Exactly. And there's an uptick in crime that also leads to drugs and more new and local gang activity. We have a lot of reservation gangs, and graffiti and trash pollution have increased. We've also seen more homeless pushing carts up the grade into Valley Center. So we have hotlines to report graffiti and illegal dumping, road repairs, and general code compliance complaints, and we have a safety officer, John Balo, here in Valley Center, who is willing to address and help in any way that he can.
I did notice that graffiti was, on the uptick. Even right here at this property right next to me, it's a gorgeous 425-acre property that, again, can't wait to pick your brain about here in a little bit, right? But what I can say is that that's what caught my attention at first. I was like, what is this crap? And I looked back, and then I was like, oh, 425, okay. Wait a minute, right? And then I kept driving, and I'm like, all right. But honestly, I keep seeing just random things, and even on the Miller roads, like iconic "slow the heck down" signs, right? Somebody spray painted that, and I'm like, okay, guys, look. I'll be the first person to be. I am a sinner. I'm open to it. I do all the things that I shouldn't do. I go a little bit quicker than I could have, slowed down, right? I'm not the perfect person, right? But even in the community, I don't engage as much as I should. I don't participate as much as I want to. And that's something that I noticed is something that I told myself, not necessarily anybody else, but it's a different shift. Post-COVID, we have to really support the community in getting more and more involved. And that's something that I think you're a great spokesperson for that. So I'd like to ask, about the current programs or any kind of strategies that are working, or any kind of goals that are on the lineup that maybe we should be discussing a little bit louder.
Okay, that's a great question, because for graffiti, for pollution, trash, even light pollution, there is an app, and it's called Tell Us Now. TELLUSNOW, and you can download it, and that you can report your graffiti, you can report any type of concern that you have, that you see, whether it's mattress dumping or
Sometimes it's a whole RV. I'm not gonna lie.
Sometimes it's an RV. Sometimes they're potholes.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you use the app, Tell Us Now, that will get a speedy response. But you can also reach out to the members on the planning group, and we will help steer you in the direction that you need to go to for that sort of stuff. As far as events and strategies and programs, the Sheriff Department in Valley Center and across the county is implementing an initiative installing static cameras on 3 sites: Valley Center Road and Woods Valley Road, Valley Center Road and Colgrade, and then on the Rincon Reservation. And these cameras are automated license plate reading recognition cameras, which can track activity on 2 lanes of traffic. It's not a red light camera, or it's not used to write tickets, but it's used to help in crime fighting and to help solve crimes faster.
Yeah, I've heard about those programs. It's really intriguing, yeah.
Really interesting. And they're also implementing a Safe Cities, which is a collaboration between the community, businesses, and the sheriff, where people with security cameras on their property or their business can let the police know that they are available, and they can selectively share your video feeds with the department. And for example, if at your studio, if there's a camera facing the road and an accident or somebody speeding or a hit and run or whatever, a break-in happens, you can provide that footage to the sheriff department. You don't have to provide your entire week's worth, just the period that they are that might help in solving the crime. They're also having or contemplating building the safety center, which is planned for the area off of Highway 76 and I-15. This is a whole compound that would change the Valley Center patrol area for the sheriff to stop at the end of Valley Center Road, just past the reservation, and at the end of Colgrade Road in Palma Valley. A new patrol area would start there, and that would include Vista and Fallbrook. How would that help Valley Center? It would keep Valley Center deputies in Valley Center instead of having to extend their patrol area further out.
That's right. I was looking into that, like the substations, not only just with the sheriff's department, but the actual traffic control with CHP, I believe, is all the way out in Oceanside.
And CAL FIRE.
Wow.
And they're also considering, if we can build that, also putting a helipad there so that CAL FIRE can respond faster to fires. So yeah, that is, I fully support that. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
That's beautiful.
SDG&E is having a strategic undergrounding program to provide heightened wildfire resiliency and electric reliability. They want to underground electric distribution lines near key community facilities, and they're going to be removing overhead power lines and placing them underground, which will help remove the risk of sparking fires during adverse weather. Valley Center is in the highest fire district in the state of California. And undergrounding utilities is really important. It's an inconvenience because they're going to have to do road construction. But it'll also enable the power lines to remain energized during public safety power shutoffs, which will reduce the impact of power outages on fire-prone communities like Valley Center. So work on this strategic undergrounding program began in 2019, and it's anticipated to continue through the end of 2032. But the goal is to underground approximately 1,500 miles of power lines.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and SDG&E will actually be providing a presentation on this at our December 9th meeting for the planning group.
That's awesome. So let's make sure people get out there. That's December 9th, you said?
December 9th, which is the second Monday of the month, and it's at 7 p.m. at the planning group, the community hall, which the planning group offices are there.
Okay.
At the community hall.
Right there on, is it Lilac and Valley Center Road, right?
It is Lilac and Valley Center Road.
Right next to the fire department, right?
Right next to the Valley Center station on Lilac Road. And the address is 28246 Lilac Road.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, my kids used to do Taekwondo there at the community hall in the basement, and I got really familiar with the community through that. Right, not just learning, but also the different type of programs the community has, like the rodeo, the Western Days, the Miss Valley Center. All of these, like, really just genuine. I don't know how to say it other than just genuine community vibe, where I'm not saying other communities don't have it, but the likelihood of you crossing paths with people back and forth at Bates or, with soccer, going to the same church or going to the community center for Taekwondo. These are the things that I'm very, I want to say buzzing with excitement because
it is. Valley Center is one of the last remaining communities that you can truly find Americana. It's California's Mayberry here, and we want to keep it that way.
Exactly. I love it. I love how you said that, because not only is there a rich history of entertainment, there's a rich history of development here. There's the NASA guy, there's the original Hercules, there's John Wayne, there's Mae West, there's all these.
There's Granny from the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yep. Oh, and also the movie, I can't remember. There was a movie shot through here back in the day. It was like a 1960s movie. I'm a horrible person. I won't be able to. You know what? Here we go. Check out the museum. They know everything about
They know everything.
Yeah, they're amazing.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So I got a couple more questions before we kind of check off here, so we keep this episode short and subtle, or I should say more entertaining and quick, so people go like, yeah, I want to learn more. So we don't give them everything, right, Dee? We don't want to sell ourselves too short. Let them get involved.
That's right.
Right?
Keep them wanting more.
Exactly. So how do we get in contact with you, your services, as well as the programs that you're affiliated with, not just the community planning group, but all those different things that you told us before? I was really blown away by.
Well, you can contact me through the planning group. My email is d@valleycenter@gmail, and you can always email me there. My information is public information on the planning group website, and all of our board members are able to be contacted through the planning group website, and we welcome that. It's important. You know, we have a lot of big projects coming into Valley Center. Besides the BESS, battery energy storage systems, that are very controversial here. That's a huge concern because they don't know, what the effects are going to be. We've already had 2 fires from the lithium battery plant that we have here in town now, and now we have a private development that's interested in putting something in. We also have Indian Creek development coming in, and they're in the very beginning stages of trying to determine what they want. What we want, they know what they want, but we need to let them know that apartment buildings are not going to work here. They have 12 parcels totaling 121 acres, and this is slated for the intersection of Colgrade and Valley Center Road. 573 new homes coming in.
I'm very identifying with that project, in fact, because of the cemetery.
Yeah.
There was a lot of clauses we had to... Yeah, I'll let you continue. Go on.
No, 573 homes, including 413 senior homes. I'm a big advocate of the senior homes. Why? We have a lot of seniors in Valley Center, people that have lived here for years and years and years and years on large properties. And now they are ready to downsize, but they still want to stay in the community that they have lived in forever. And it's important to have our seniors age in place, age in the communities that they have lived in for the last 20 to 30 years.
Exactly.
Use the same pharmacy, go to the same, vendors. And one of the things that the developers are proposing is to offer income-restricted affordable housing with 2 3-story apartment buildings. So at our last planning group meeting, I clearly stated that would not fly in Valley Center. We would not be approving that. What I did suggest was that maybe since you have a senior development coming in, that's where our intergenerational center should go. And it would be a better fit there rather than apartment buildings. So these are all big things that are happening for Valley Center, and it's important for the community to come in and weigh in now, not after the decisions have been made. And also, even though the planning group may vote for or against something, because we're advisory, the county, Planning and Development Services, and the Board of Supervisors can come right behind us and overrule any decision that we've made. That's exactly what happened with Terrigen battery storage. We, the planning group, voted against that project, but the county put it in anyways. And now all of the fires, all of the ramifications, we don't know what everything, that's on the county. So it's important that the people speak up, because when they do, there's power.
Exactly. And that's something that I'm so glad we were able to kind of step off with here as we're wrapping up our interview here, because I'm really excited. I'm going to have you back on and more and more and more, plus the development of other things we kind of discussed off the show. But let me tell you what, I'm super excited. I just want to say, if there's any shout outs to family, anybody that you want to say hello to, anything like that, before we go ahead and sign off.
Well, just to our community, to everybody in Valley Center. Valley Center is getting a lot of attention from developers, from the state and the county. And it's important that we keep the country and rural character of Valley Center. That's why people move here. That, and because we still have relatively affordable housing. We need strong voices that are going to prevent the urbanization that government agencies want to bring into our community. And I'm committed to preserving the rural charm of Valley Center that reflects our community's values, and so is our current board. Everyone is welcome to our board meetings, and we encourage your input. And in my humble opinion, the board members are elected to represent the interests of the community that we serve, not our own special interests.
That's amazing. I couldn't have said it better. Thank you so much for your time, Dee. And this has been the Devil Dog Talk Show. Make sure you guys listen, like, and share. Check out what's going on out here in Valley Center. Be supportive. Make sure you speak up because big things are definitely coming.
Hey, VC.
Internet. Hello. Muassasan Delores number 4 and then for number represent Irish number 6 because he asked me for shit.
Well, I need to say,